Welcome to QUniverse's special report on the Office of the Inspector General's review of various actions by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Department of Justice in advance of the 2016 election. From here on, we'll refer to this document as the OIG Report. Head of the Office of Inspector General is Michael Horowitz. He and his team reviewed over 1.2 million documents and interviewed more than 100 witnesses. Here's a little background on why the OIG report came out. Congress, various other organizations, and the public pushed for the DOJ and the OIG to review the actions of the FBI in connection with the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. The review examined allegations that the FBI policies and procedures were not followed and that the decisions were based on inappropriate issues. What the OIG report also demonstrates is that the FBI became a political and weaponized agency, attempting to secure a Hillary Clinton presidency. Let us be clear here. There are approximately 37,000 FBI agents, analysts, and other professionals who have dedicated their lives and careers to uphold the rule of law to protect the American people. What we're talking about here in this report are a select handful of individuals who have corrupted the FBI and tarnished its reputation. Having said that, let's dive into a few key points of the OIG report. Here's an org chart within the OIG report that's dated at the time of the investigation into Hillary Rodham Clinton. The OIG report refers to this as the mid-year investigation. These are the FBI folks who decided to take matters into their own hands and attempt to secure a Hillary Clinton victory. They include James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Jim Rubicki, Lisa Page, Jim Baker, Michael Steinbach, Bill Priestap, and Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page played critical roles in the Hillary email investigation. They exchanged messages with political bias in favor of Hillary Clinton that, quote, created the appearance of bias and thereby raised questions about the objectivity and the thoroughness of the Hillary email investigation, end quote. James Comey made the decision to, quote, deviate from the FBI's and the department's established procedures and norms and instead engaged in his own subjective ad hoc decision-making, end quote. On the surface, it may seem like the OIG report is a nothing burger, just confirming things we already knew. The assumption that the OIG report is only about those items is very, very wrong. Everything is in the details of this report. Let's take a look and hop back to 2015. Andrew McCabe's wife, Dr. Jill McCabe, was running for a Virginia State Senate seat. She received over $670,000 from Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe's Political Action Committee. Terry McAuliffe is good friends with Bill and Hillary Clinton. He actually still regularly speaks to Bill Clinton as per a recent news article. In February 2016, Andrew McCabe became the FBI deputy director and had an active role in the Clinton investigation. Only after the October 2016 Wall Street Journal report identifying the donation to his wife's campaign did McCabe recuse himself from the investigation.
Also in 2015, then Assistant Attorney General Peter Kadzik, quote, demonstrated poor judgment, end quote, by not recusing himself from the Clinton-related investigation. Through the WikiLeaks Podesta email drop, it was discovered that Kadzik emailed longtime friend John Podesta. Kadzik was trying to get his son a job with the Hillary Clinton campaign. What the IG report also reveals is that within that exchange is a heads-up email where Peter Kadzik tells John Podesta, quote, "There is a House Judiciary Committee oversight hearing today where the head of our civil division will testify. Likely to get questions on State Department emails. Another filing in the FOIA case went in last night, or will file in this AM, that indicates it will be a while, 2016, before the State Department posts the Clinton emails," end quote. Plainly, in Kadzik notifying his buddy John Podesta of the hearing and the FOIA request, all while trying to get his son a job with the HRC campaign, he created a huge conflict of interest, at which point he should have recused himself from the investigation. As a reminder, Kadzik was the Assistant Attorney General at the FBI during this time period. Another interesting and disturbing tidbit, this one regarding the Weiner laptop. You remember Anthony Weiner, he was busted for child porn. He's also the husband of Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's top aide. Apparently, after its seizure by the FBI, Anthony Weiner's laptop sat there and wasn't thoroughly investigated. According to the IG report, testimony provided by Bill Priestap, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page, the quote, "Russia investigation was a higher priority in October 2016 than reviewing the Weiner laptop," end quote. Yet, according to the Executive Assistant Director of the Criminal Cyber Response and Services Branch, Randall Coleman, there were a few significant items on the laptop. Coleman noted them in his journal dated October 4th, 2016. Weiner, texting, 15-year-old, sexually explicit. 926, federal search warrant, iPhone, iPad, laptop, initial analysis of laptop, thousands of emails. Also noted by Coleman in this journal entry, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, and crime against children. Let me read that again. Crime against children. So, knowing this kernel of information, top brass at the FBI decided it was more important to open the Russia investigation instead of following through on examining and bringing forth charges related to Anthony Weiner's laptop. The FBI deemed the Russia investigation as more important than crimes against children.
Mr. President, when did you first learn that Hillary Clinton used an email system outside the U.S. government for official business while she was Secretary of State?
At the same time, everybody else learned it through news reports.
After the Inspector General's report came out this afternoon, responses surfaced from many angles. Though reactions varied greatly depending on political affiliation, they mainly fell into 4 categories. Number 1. Those named in the report. The most obvious people to have a reaction are James Comey and Hillary Clinton. Let's start with the man with, quote, "a higher loyalty." James Comey tweeted this afternoon, "I respect the DOJ IG office, which is why I urge them to do this review. The conclusions are reasonable, even though I disagree with some. People of good faith can see an unprecedented situation differently. I pray no director faces it again. Thanks to the IG's people for hard work." He also wrote an op-ed for the New York Times that ran Thursday regarding his decisions on the Clinton email scandal. In this piece, he states, quote, "The Inspector General's team concludes, I should have adhered to established norms, which they see as mandating both deference to the Attorney General on the public announcement and silence about an investigation so close to an election. I do not agree with all of the Inspector General's conclusions, but I respect the work of his office and salute its professionalism." While I haven't seen a reaction per se from the former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton did engage in a bit of banter on Twitter. Responding to a Kyle Cheney tweet, which says, IG found that on numerous occasions, Comey used a personal Gmail account to conduct official FBI business according to source briefed on this report. Hillary Clinton responded, "But my emails." Speaking of reactions, my personal response to Secretary Clinton's tweet can be summed up in one word: bleach bit. Category 2. Those who handled this information gracefully. I'm using that word loosely here. We are talking about politics. Regardless of your take on the situation, this clip of Senator Dianne Feinstein puts her in this camp.
What the IG did conclude was that James Comey violated Department of Justice policies on 3 occasions, with his July 5th press conference, his October 28th letter to Congress, and his November 6th notification to Congress. Now, many of us agree on that conclusion, and the IG report repeatedly says that the Justice Department forbids discussion about ongoing investigations.
Another graceful response came from Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, who wrote, quote, "I agree with the IG's conclusion that agents' use of FBI systems and equipment to mix work decisions with blatant political bias injured, quote, the heart of the FBI's reputation for neutral fact-finding and independence," end quote. "I know that the FBI is home to many dedicated public servants, and Director Wray now has an enormous responsibility to earn back the public's trust in this institution. One way to win back that trust is to fully cooperate with congressional oversight examining the use of authority and resources provided to the FBI by Congress," end quote. Category 3. Haters and agitators. There were plenty of responses from both sides that were designed to stir the pot. Let's take a look at a few highlights and lowlights. There were politicians' quips, as witnessed in Representative Ratcliffe's interview on Fox News.
Yes, and I think it's sad for the former director. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Jim Comey back together again at this point in time.
And Chuck Schumer's quip during this press conference.
Anyone who is hoping to use this report to undermine the Mueller probe or prove the existence of a deep state conspiracy against President Trump will be sorely disappointed. Those of us who are interested in the truth, however, are pleased to know that the Inspector General wrote time and time again that when it came to the Clinton email investigation, quote, no evidence that the conclusions by department prosecutors were affected by bias or improper considerations. No evidence that the conclusions by department prosecutors were affected by bias or other improper considerations. Rather, we concluded that they were based on the prosecutor's assessments of the facts, the law, and past department practices. Plain and simple, couldn't be plainer.
We heard from the standard commentators like Rachel Maddow.
It is leavened by a few intentionally blank pages. Bottom line, the IG says there was no political bias infecting the investigation itself, but the IG concludes that the then FBI Director James Comey basically seriously screwed up when he made the public statements that he did about the Clinton investigation. The IG seriously implies that those were made basically in response to criticism of the FBI, public criticism of the FBI for not being hard enough on Hillary Clinton.
And here's some more commentary from Fox News personality Sean Hannity.
I think it's important before we get into the contents of this report that we're all going to break down in the course of this hour. It's very important to understand something. This is sadly a swamp document. Now, the swamp always protects the swamp, unfortunately. And in reality, before we even get started, let me just remind you of something I said last night. The facts in this case are not in dispute. The evidence is overwhelming and incontrovertible. Hillary violated the Espionage Act. That's a fact. She mishandled, she destroyed classified top secret special access programming information. It's a fact. She deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails. She acid washed her hard drive with bleach bit so they couldn't get them. Facts. And she had aides destroy her mobile devices with hammers. Also a fact.
We also saw things devolve in the general public. In direct response to the Comey tweet we read earlier, Big Bear Real Estate came up with this to say: "You are damaged goods. The stain you've left on the agency will remain forever, and that is a good thing. Your example of leadership will show others who follow how not to do the job. Good riddance to bad rubbish. We also discovered this tweet from liberal phenom, Obama is my president forever, at liberal phenom. She writes, of course Comey operated out of bias against Hillary and dishonest toward his boss, Loretta Lynch, and this election should be overturned and Hillary be made president. After that, I have no words. Let's move on to the next category, shall we? Category 4 is no comment/no response. While some may not have had the time to make an official statement yet, many are remaining mum on the IG report in general. Cue the crickets. Finally, I'd like to add an honorable mention. Check out Representative Lee Zeldin, who's been tweeting out some interesting snippets as he reads the Behemoth report. While the IG report may not be the clearest and loudest of all smoking guns, it does legitimize the previous reports on the level of corruption by James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Jim Rabicki, Jim Baker, Michael Steinbach, Bill Priestap, Lisa Page, and Peter Strzok. They put their political preference ahead of their oath of office and our country. As a result, these people have undermined the reputation and the public's trust of the FBI while engaging in these traitorous acts. It will be interesting to see how many folks who had refused a deal previously will want to make a deal now. As a lot of us here in the QUniverse newsroom believe, the time for deals is over. Monty Hall has left the building. I'm pretty sure those wannabe deal makers wouldn't want to find a zonk behind curtain number 2 anyway. This is Redcord signing off for all of us here at QUniverse News. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave any comments down in the section below.